Will a returning hero reignite a long-lost flame, taking everyone's favorite paramedic away from Firehouse 51? Is Sylvie Brett leaving the Chicago Fire? Here's what we know. For 11 seasons, we followed the exploits of the paramedics and firemen in Chicago Fire. During that time, we met heartthrobs, villains, tragic heroes, and even murderers. But only a few stand out in Firehouse 51. One is beloved paramedic Sylvie Brett, even though she's beloved by fans of the long-running action-packed drama, standing beside the OGs like Matt Casey, Kelly Severide, and Chief Bowden. It almost feels like she's been around and down since day one. Played by highly talented and charismatic actor Cara Kilmer, tragedy brought Sylvie Brett to the firehouse in Season 3. The character she replaced died in a fire set by a maniac hell-bent on taking out first responders. They succeeded, and as the team grieved Leslie Shea, they were introduced to a new member, a farm girl from Indiana named Sylvie.
Hey, Lieutenant. I just wanted to formally introduce myself. I'm Sylvie Brett.
Kelly Severide.
Things were weird at first. Sylvie Brett looked like Shea and had to work alongside her best friend, making this awkward. But eventually, as the episodes flew by, she opened up. By the end of the season, she endeared herself to the team, especially to Peter Mills, getting close to him before a kidnapping and car crash made him flee to North Carolina, leaving her partnerless. Sylvie's second year at Firehouse 51 isn't any less eventful. She delivers the baby of a pregnant woman who gets shot, which opens a whole can of worms. Then after Chili, that's a character's name, not the beloved one-pot dish. After Chili gets married and leaves the team, Sylvie takes over as head paramedic. Season 5 saw Dawson, Sylvie's first partner, come back and brings around her brother Antonio. Sylvie is into Antonio, but homeboy is too caught up in ex-drama. Feeling bad about the whole situation, Dawson tries to hook her up with Matt Casey.
Sounds awesome. And you need a date.
Yeah, I just need a friend to bring along, really.
Try to remember this point, as it'll tie into Sylvie's possible exit from the show 6 seasons later. Season 6 saw Sylvie go through a pregnancy scare. Her friend Hope comes to town to support the paramedic, who is going through it at that point. But that support turns into a headache because Hope is accused of having sticky fingers. When $10,000 goes missing, fingers are pointed in her direction. Sylvie has to deal with the fact that it's her girl that might have stolen from the firehouse. Matt Casey and Sylvie get to the bottom of the whole ordeal, resulting in Hope being fired, and losing Sylvie as a friend. Things are looking up for our Sylvie Brett in Season 7. It starts with her having a new bae, Kyle Sheffield. Kyle is a chaplain with the city's fire department, but that doesn't last long. Then the first sparks of a relationship between Casey and Sylvie are stoked in the aftermath of the breakup. Trying to be a good dude, Matt Casey suggests that Sylvie and Kyle hook back up, and they do. A boiler explosion leads Sylvie to leave the firehouse with Kyle. Don't ask. The couple moves to Sylvie's hometown in Indiana, where she makes amends with Hope. But it doesn't work out between the two. Sylvie just craved the excitement back in Chi-Town. Matt Casey shows some support for Sylvie as the latter goes through family drama shortly after returning to Firehouse 51. My dude was just lying in the cut, biding his time, waiting for his chance. Sylvie has a rough go of it in Season 9. She gets introduced to a new paramedic, Gianna Mackey. They're out on a call when a psycho runs them off the road, due to reasons too convoluted to get into here. The two paramedics get into a horrible wreck, but what was really important about that season's finale was that Sylvie and Casey finally hooked up. So at this point, let's talk about Sylvie and Casey's growing relationship over the course of the show, and how it might lead to Sylvie leaving Firehouse 51 for good.
It was really good to see you back in action at 51, Matt.
They were friendly from day one. Their first interactions were through Dawson, with whom Casey was really good friends with. But it wasn't until the Season 7 finale that we saw the two characters really start getting close. Casey needed a partner for a double date with Chief Bowden, and almost got to ask Brett before he got interrupted. The pain in my dude's face when Herman and Ritter blocked him. When Sylvie returned in Season 8, Casey was thrilled to see her. They reunited with a big loaded hug. Casey even said, 51 just hasn't been the same without you. Still, they didn't get together. Then when Sylvie's mom died, Casey was there for her, really cementing the bond between the two characters. Everyone seemed to know that Sylvie and Casey had a thing for each other, except for the two of them. Sylvie's horrible crash in Season 9 left her with symptoms she was scared would last the rest of her life. Casey was there to hold her hand. It all culminated in a super romantic scene where he shows up at her apartment and they finally lock lips. but they still weren't together for real until season 10. Chicago Fire's 200th episode saw Matt Casey, one of the few characters who lasted from episode 1 of season 1, leave.
Right. You better call me as soon as you land.
In the storyline, he was going to Oregon to look after his dead friend's son. In real life, the actor playing him, Jesse Spencer, was looking to branch out career-wise, so the romance that everyone waited for was in peril. For a little while, the two stayed together, doing a long-distance thing. But Sylvie broke it off, as she felt they grew too far apart. That was until season 11 came along and Matt Casey returned to Chicago.
Getting a little frayed?
Yeah, I already made a note to replace him, Cap.
Working on a case with Homeland Security, Casey returns and of course seeks out his Sylvie. Basically, he wants her back and wants her to go with him when he returns to the Pacific Northwest. While it looked like she wanted to, things got a little complicated for Sylvie Brett. She looks to be adopting a child that she saved during a case and whose parents passed away. Will this factor into her future on the show? There's no doubt that fans don't want to see Sylvie Brett go, just like they didn't want the couple to break up.
Maybe someday.
But it gives her character a chance to grow. When asked about the big breakup, actress Cara Kilmer said, "It'll be interesting to see her really dedicate herself to her career. And I think we've always seen Sylvie in a relationship. We've always seen her in a romance. But I think it's important to see her come into her own and focus on her own things. Friendships and career, not just her love life. I'm really excited about being able to explore all that." With Matt Casey returning, where does that leave Sylvie's chances of pursuing other aspects of her life, other than her romantic relationships? The press release for the season 11 finale hints that there's life-changing news for Sylvie. Will that include Casey, the adopted baby, or something we haven't even considered? One fan theory circulating on the internet about Brettsy, the name fans have given the couple, is that Sylvie might be pregnant with Matt's child, or the news has nothing to do with their strained relations and he's come back to help her out, like he did when her mom died. Whatever the case, actress Cara Kilmer leaving Chicago Fire wouldn't be a huge shock. The show, especially in the latter seasons, has a history of seeing its big stars leave. Actors Jesse Spencer, Monica Raymond, Yuri Sardarv, and now Taylor Kinney have all left. While some have come back for short stints, none of them are series regulars anymore. So if Cara Kilmer's Sylvie Brett leaves, fans shouldn't fret or despair, because there's always a chance you'll see everyone's favorite paramedic return to Firehouse 51, even if it's just for a heartwarming cameo. Will Sylvie Brett stick around after season 11's finale? No one knows. All the signs seem to be pointing to her at least going forward in a diminished capacity. We'll all find out together. This has been our analysis of If Sylvie Brett is Leaving Chicago Fire.